Hello and welcome to MGGL. My name is Spencer Prop 15. Today I want to go over the problems with the current 1v1 Commander format and how they can potentially be fixed. Currently the format has three best decks, Kess, Leovold, and Breya. And the thing that makes them all similar is that they're all running tutors, counterspells, and fast mana. And that's because those are far and away the best cards in the format, and that's why the format has so little skill right now. Those cards, you draw them, or you don't, you die. There's also no aggro decks to punish them for running incredibly greedy mana bases with few basics, because the Blood Moon decks that would be run can't be run because they have no good commanders. And the aggro decks can't get under them because of the 30 life, and because Edgar and Tymna are banned, leaving them with second-hand options. Number 6. Embrace the brokenness. Currently, the format has a problem where a player will draw a card like Mana Crypt, and their opponent will just lose because it's so much higher quality than the rest of their cards. However, if the entire ban list is unbanned, including the partner mechanic, then that kind of thing can no longer happen because every card in their deck is broken. Doing this would make the games feel like Vintage Light and maybe a little more Commander-like, instead of having the exact same play in every single game and having a few cards that just win on the spot, instead of a ton of cards that come together to make a broken feel. Number 5. Remove the color identity rule. Currently, the three best commanders are all running blue and black. While this isn't necessarily a problem, this does limit a challenge to other commanders. The only reason that those three are the only viable decks is because they're the best three blue-black commanders. However, this doesn't have to be the case. Without the color identity rule, decks like Teferi can now compete. They could run the Flash Hulk combo if they wanted to, they could run Blood Moons and punish the greedy mana bases, etc. This means that many more commanders would become viable, which would greatly increase the number of decks in the metagame and make it wildly more interesting. Now, this would present some unfortunate problems, where every deck might turn into a Blood Moon deck, a Flash Hulk deck, or just a Good Stuff deck, and also every deck might just run Mental Misstep and Taxing Probe. It would still be a great idea to have more commanders viable than currently just the three at the moment. Number 4. Limit the format scope to Modern. Currently, the Modern format has a wide range of diverse decks and archetypes. The same cannot be said for 1v1 Commander. If one takes that logic to an extreme and takes out all of the good cards, like Demonic Tutor, Mana Crypt, most of the counter spells, most of the commanders, etc., you end up with a format that's like Modern 1v1. While a card like Baral would have to be banned for being too good, there'd be much fewer bannings than this format, as it would use the Modern ban list. Additionally, there'd be color diversity, commander diversity, and it would be relatively unexplored. The only problem with this idea is that it might end up being an entirely different format than Commander. Maybe this would be a good idea to replace Baral. Number 3. Allowing Planeswalkers as your commander. Currently, the only Planeswalker that sees play is Teferi, Temporal, Archmage. However, this does not have to be the case. If Planeswalkers were allowed to be commanders, it's doubtful that they would see that much play. After the initial hype died down, they just seem worse than their creature counterparts. Liliana might be used against Leovold, or Dack Fayden against Breya, for example, but overall they wouldn't be that broken, and they don't have the potential to be either. That makes them relatively safe to use, and all they would do is increase the diversity of commanders. After all, they can be shut down by a rogue Pithing Needle much easier than a commander can. Number 2. Change the life total to 20 life. Currently, decks like Zergo Bellstriker are simply not viable. Decks can be as greedy as they want with cards like Toxic Deluge, Mental Misstep, Necropotence, Mana Crypt, etc. without being punished at all. This is because, without an aggro deck to punish them, the life totals are fairly irrelevant. With an aggro deck to punish them, however, they have to run much more removal, otherwise they'll be in death of dying. However, with 30 life, decks will often end the game at 5 to 8 life against aggro. Additionally, decks like Breya simply cream them because of the built-in life gain. With no deck to foil combo and control decks in the metagame, this presents a very unhealthy metagame where blue and black are the only viable colors. However, with a change of the life total to 20 life, then new players could also get into the format with aggro decks, which are usually much cheaper. And number 1, fixing the ban list. I've been outspoken with my belief that the current ban list changes were horrible and an abomination. While having a higher power format was a great way to bring attention to it, it ruined the format in a lot of ways. Now it's very, very luck-based, and before it was a skill-based format where metagaming was huge, and now it's terrible. To fix that, I would recommend the following. I have a Google Doc that I have all my changes that I would suggest in the description below, and for the Reddit post, it's also linked there. And if you look at that, it has all my changes. Some are here. Like, it's ridiculous that Back to Basics is not legal when Blood Moon is legal. And Moat and Humility have no reason to be banned. Those decks aren't even playable. And even if they were, they're 4-mana enchantments that are horrible against counterspells, they're horrible against bounce spells, they're horrible against removal for those things. And honestly, most decks have ways of getting around them. All they do is kill decks like Oloro. The partners, yeah, I've been pretty outspoken about this the whole video. They have no reason to be gone. Just ban, like, I don't know, Tymna, Thrasios, Vile Smasher. Ban as many as you need to, but the partner mechanic itself is not that broken. The problem is that you have a few cards that are almost worth a full commander on their own. All it does is make 4-color decks which die to the Blood Moon effects, if those decks are viable. Dividing Top, that was there because of slow tournaments, etc., etc. There's just cards in there that shouldn't be. Chrome Mox, Soul Ring, etc. for the fast mana, those shouldn't be legal. They just create games where if you draw them, you're way more likely to win. And they're pretty hard to play around. Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, Tutors, those should be gone too. Most of the cards they unbanned. A few of them we saw were fine, like Imperial Seal is super slow, and Mystical Tutor is probably fine because it can't get everything. Like, most of the time you want to be getting Mana Crypt with your Tutors. And the last thing is the free counterspells I'm not a huge fan of because they're impossible to play around. And they just create really uninteresting games of Magic where it's like, well, I win if they don't have days. Oh, they had days, I lose. Yeah, if you fix the ban list, the format becomes really fun, really diverse. There's a bunch of different decks that you can play instead of this horrible format that we currently have. That's all for the video today. If you want to see some of these changes implemented, or you think I'm crazy, go to the straw poll. I put it in the description, and it's on the Reddit post. If you do so, WotC will see your feedback, hopefully. And if they don't, at least we'll know some more about how many people see this video and between YouTube and Reddit. Have a nice day.